Okay. Welcome back to Beyond Books, the Shrewsbury Public Library podcast. My name is Sky. I use they and them pronouns, and I'm going to be your new host. Our previous host, Mike Zeller, has left the Shrewsbury Public Library and is now the director at the Auburn Public Library. We wish him all the best in his endeavors over there. So things are going to look a little bit different in this new version, but I hope that you will all enjoy the direction we're going to be taking things. So, to start, let me introduce you to the segments that we will be breaking these episodes into. First up, we have Media of the Month. Here's where we're going to talk about a book, a series, a movie, TV show, game, whatever it is that is speaking to us that we want to share with you. Sometimes I'll have a guest to talk about their favorites. Sometimes it'll just be me talking about some of my favorites, or some things that I didn't necessarily enjoy. Who can say? Next, we have Ask a Librarian. Here we're going to be answering your questions about services and programs at the library. Whatever those questions are, I'm going to find the right staff member to give you the knowledge that I lack. But sometimes I might know the answer. Next, there's Life of the Library. Here's where we're going to share with you different parts of library life that you might not see as you pass through some staff stories, unexpected finds, and maybe some new ways to interact with the library that you never realized were possible. All that and more awaits you in this new era of Beyond Books, and I am really looking forward to sharing this with you. Welcome to Media of the Month. To start with, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how we're going to approach these media discussions. When working in the library, working with a patron, helping somebody find something that they want to read, want to listen to, we do a thing called Reader's Advisory. And it's kind of like recommending a book based on what someone's read. But there's a little bit more to it than that. One of the key concepts is a hook. Everybody's got their hooks that lock them into a book or into a movie, into a piece of media. They could be strong characters. They could be dynamic plot. They could be mystery elements. Whether or not it's a mystery book, you like to have a little mystery in there. For some people, it's romance. For some people, it's no romance. It could be anything. For me, one of my strongest hooks is setting. I love world building. I love diving into a world of fantasy or a sci-fi world, or just our own world, and learning more about how things work in this particular context. So to get into the specifics that we're talking about this month, I have brought for your consideration the Temeraire Series by Naomi Novik. Specifically, Book 1, His Majesty's Dragon. This is an alternate history fantasy series set during the Napoleonic Wars. So this book opens up at sea with Captain William Lawrence, and he has just captured a French frigate, and him and his crew and his officers are, taking the parole of the captain, and he comments that he's surprised that they fought as fiercely as they did, and he was a little disappointed that so many people had to die for this. But then he discovers why when they go through the cargo hold and find a dragon egg. And it's about to hatch within a week or two. So they are left with this conundrum of what to do with this dragon egg, because they're Navy men. They don't know dragons. And according to British dragon knowledge, if you don't harness that dragon as soon as it hatches, it'll fly off and just go be feral and not be usable to His Majesty's service. So they draw lots to see who was going to make the attempt to harness the dragon, because this is a life bond that they are potentially getting themselves into. And the dragon has other ideas. As soon as he hatches, he takes a shine to Captain Lawrence. And Captain Lawrence has to offer him a name. And the only thing he can think of is Temeraire, naming the dragon after a ship that he had seen when he was a boy. So they bond, and now he has to go from this established career as a Navy captain and completely upend his life to become a dragon captain in the aerial corps of the British Empire. So we follow that journey of Will and Temeraire as they start training and learning the ins and outs of how Britain manages its dragons and prepare to fend off an invasion from Napoleon, who has his own dragons. So there's a lot of magic school vibes, I'd say. It's interesting to see how this established adult in this world who, he's from a well-born family, he's got to unlearn some things and relearn some things to be in this world of dragon riders who are a bit less fastidious, shall we say, a bit less focused on the social norms of the day. Part of that brings us into some of the themes that they explore in this book. First of all, gender roles are dealt with in a really cool way, because some of the dragon breeds, specifically the longwings, who spit acid and can be a real big military asset in that respect, they won't bond with men. They'll only take a female captain. And so the aerial corps has women serving as captains, women serving as officers, and they also have girl cadets, because dragons in this world live a lot longer than humans do, and when their companion dies, the best way they've found to get the dragon to accept someone new is for that person to be related, preferably a child that has grown up with the dragon and that the dragon has been able to take care of and get to know as they've grown up. So one of the characters that we meet is the daughter of one of the other captains who Will flies with and gets to know. So young Emily Rowland is on his crew as one of his runners. And so we get to see a lot of his ideas of how a girl should behave, butting up against the Corps' ideas of what's proper for a girl's behavior, and how that all fits into the society's mores as far as gender goes. Another angle that the book explores is different perspectives from different parts of the world on dragons. You get hints of it in this first book, but this is explored more in the later books in the series. Book 2, you get to go to China and see how China interacts with their dragon population. You get to see Turkey and some other countries in Europe, the Germans, the Austrians, as well as the French and the Russians. So there's a lot of world perspectives that are given on how do dragons fit into societies across the world. So each of these countries are reached in an organic way through the plot. It feels like, oh, and now we're going to take a trip to here. It's very much justified in the plot of each book and the journey that they are going on makes a lot of sense as you take one step after the next. A third theme that gets explored that's a little heavier than the others is animal cruelty and abuse. As we're getting to know the British Aerial Corps and how they all treat their dragons, for the most part, these are wonderful characters who love their dragons and treat them like a best friend, a sibling, good-natured ribbing, and just generally loving these partners that they have. But there is one glaring exception, and this captain treats his courier dragon, Levitas, very poorly. He seems to think that because this captain is a higher class individual, that the company of his dragon is beneath him. And he behaves in ways that are more typical of that upper crust, high society, which is what Lawrence is used to when he first gets to the training grounds here. So initially, he sees this as a kindred spirit, someone who knows which forks to use and knows how to throw a dinner party and how to dress formally, but he doesn't put it together that this genteel officer is the same one who's mistreating this poor dragon who's left lonely on the cold ground while all of the other dragons have their captains coming to spend time with them. And Will likes to read to Temeraire, which is very sweet, and you get to see that a lot. So Temeraire and Lawrence take Levitas under their wing, so to speak, to give him some company and some companionship, because his captain won't. So that's a bit sad. But it is, like I said, it's balanced out by the great relationships that the other captains have with their dragons, and that is shown to be the norm. The good relationships are shown to be the norm. And Captain Rankin is shunned by the rest of the officers because, these are living beings, sentient beings who are putting their own lives on the line right alongside their officers, and his treatment is just abominable. So, with all that in mind, this is also a war book. We're going through military training, they're flying formations, they're doing rescues of other dragons, and it culminates in a big final battle. So there's all this great thematic stuff going on. This is a really cool setting that you get to dive into, and you've got someone who's established in the society of Georgian England, who's exploring a new realm of it right alongside you. So you've got a great POV character who helps you to see what's new here, what's different, what do dragons do to this era. And yeah, I hope I've given you a good sense of that. So I read these on audio, listened to them from Libby, one of our ebook and e-audio book catalog apps that we have access to at the library. This is one that you might have to wait, put a hold on things just like you would with a normal book, but then it goes right to your device, downloads to it, and you can read it in the app. You can send it to your Kindle, read it on there, or you can, like I do, listen to the audiobook right from your phone. It's very convenient. The reader for this is this book in particular is Simon Vance, and he does a great job of characterizing each of these people in very distinct ways, and he brings this great childlike innocence to the dragons because they're all very young and they have this innocence to them that is really, really fun to hear and fun to play off of for the human characters as they are getting to know each other and establishing their relationships. And he brings a lot of fun energy to that. And the whole series is available through Libby. And next month, little sneak peek, we're going to be talking about board games and tabletop games. I'm going to have the Outreach and Marketing Librarian on to have a conversation about that and what we've been playing and what's been tickling our fancies. So look forward to that next month. Welcome into our first Ask a Librarian segment. This is going to be where we talk about different library services and different things that you may not have known. Answer some frequently asked questions, infrequently asked questions, or questions that you have sent to us. Without further ado, let me introduce our first guest in the new iteration of Beyond Books, Hedda.
Hello, I'm Hedda Monaghan. I'm the Digital Services Librarian here at Shrewsbury Public Library.
Awesome. And what are your pronouns?
She or they.
Awesome. So, the question that we will be asking you today is, how do I get digital music from the library? I know we can check out CDs. We can check out audiobooks. We can check out all sorts of physical media. But how to get the digital music specifically is one that I'm in the dark on.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think not everyone, but many people are widely aware that we offer ebooks and e-audiobooks for checkout. But people seem to be less aware that we have digital music through the library. And there's two resources that you can get digital music on, and that's Freegal and Hoopla. Hoopla also provides access to ebooks, e-audiobooks, movies, and TV shows. Freegal is more just for music, similar to Spotify. To access each, you go to the digital media page under the resources dropdown on the library website, and then you'll be prompted to create an account with your library card for each, but you won't need to use your library card again once your account is created.
Awesome. Does that library card need to be from Shrewsbury?
Yes. Our resources, Freegal and Hoopla, are only limited to Shrewsbury residents, but these are resources that are pretty widely subscribed to across the CW Mars network. So if you're from another town and you're interested in these resources, check out your public library. They might have them as well.
Awesome. So what are the limits? How do they work? Let's get a little bit into the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah, absolutely. So think of Freegal like a music streaming service like Spotify, where Hoopla is more like checking a CD out from the library only in digital form. So with Freegal, you're limited to 5 downloads a week and 5 hours of streaming audio a day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's nearly an entire workday's worth of streaming audio. The loan length for the song downloads is unlimited, and you can keep them on your device for as long as you'd like.
Oh, wow.
Hoopla, you are allowed 10 titles per month, and the loan length is dependent on the media. Generally, it's 3 weeks for books and audiobooks, 1 week for music albums, and 1 day for movies. For whole television series, the loan length is also often a week. You don't have to worry about getting through all of a TV series in just a day.
That is good. That's
Yeah.
helpful. Some days it's doable, but
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is there like a history feature in these? Will they remember what I've taken out, what I've downloaded?
Yeah, absolutely. Both Freegal and Hoopla have history. With Freegal, you can restream the same songs after your daily 5 hours has reset, and Hoopla also remembers what you've borrowed, and you can re-borrow something. One nice thing about Hoopla is there's no holds like with Libby, so if you're like me and you borrow an audiobook and don't quite make it through it in time, you can re-borrow it, and you don't have to wait the several months sometimes that you might have to wait with Libby for a popular title.
That's great. The interminable waiting period,
Yeah.
yes. Ooh, does Freegal have like playlists you could make? Is that a feature they have?
Yeah, that's one very nice feature of Freegal is you can make playlists within Freegal. So again, it's very similar to that Spotify experience.
That's awesome. That's great. Is there an app for these?
Yes, that's a really good question. They both have an app that you can download, and there should be the download link right on the website for each of them.
Oh, awesome.
And I believe they both have iOS and Android apps, so it shouldn't matter your device. You should be able to get the app for each.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so we've got a little bit of how they work. We've got a little bit of how to get access. So what's the difference to the content that's available in each of these?
Yeah, so they both do have different selections of content. For the Swifties out there, you won't be able to find Taylor Swift albums on Freegal, but you can borrow them in Hoopla. I do know with Freegal, their selection of heavy metal music is fairly good and interesting. I also know they have a good selection of folk music. We've used Freegal in some of our dance programs, the swing dance programs in the past, and there's been a fairly good selection for that.
Nice.
I would say try out both resources and see how they are for the type of music you listen to, because I think each of us has a unique taste in music. So try out each resource and see which one is going to work best for the music you listen to.
Awesome. Yes, I do have a varied music taste, bouncing around the whole world and the whole gamut of genres as well. So That's good to know that there's a good metal library on Freegal. I'm going to have to check out what they got.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit on the content now. What do you like about each of these services?
So for Freegal, I really like the browse by genre option. I also like that they have a fairly diverse selection of genres available. It's not just like easy public domain stuff, which I think was my assumption about Freegal going in, is that it's going to be kind of a flatter selection of stuff. And yes, it's true that they don't have kind of those top selling artists like right now, like Taylor Swift, but they do have a very good selection of stuff, and that's the thing that impresses me most about Freegal. With Hoopla, the answer of the most interesting thing is a little more inside baseball. There was an issue with AI, poorly vetted AI content ending up in Hoopla, and the company that owns Hoopla took that issue very seriously and re-looked at how they acquire content, and has been more careful about making sure that content doesn't make its way into Hoopla. And that's one thing I really like about Hoopla and other library resources, is there's more trust there. They're not trying to make money off of me as a user. They are just there for me as a patron of the library, and I really like that. I know they're not going to push AI generated content on me like Spotify has apparently allegedly been doing to some users.
Oh yeah, that is great to hear that they're being responsible and responsive to concerns about that, because if it's that's good for the artists, it's good for users. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about any other services?
I don't think I have anything else to add. I gave you kind of the rundown of each, what you can find in each. I just want to reiterate that I encourage folks to check out both, see which one works for you. They're both very fun resources.
Awesome. And if folks are interested in learning more about other digital resources, how do they do that?
How do they do that? They can check out the library. We do have the digital media page that goes over the different digital media resources we have access to. Maybe I'll be on in a future episode to talk about streaming video. You can also check out the library events calendar. We do monthly workshops on different digital resources available through the library.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for coming through and talking about the music situation. It's really, really helpful to have a sense of what's available through the library, stuff that's kind of tucked away that you might not think of.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
So today's Life of the Library, I'm going to share with you some stories from staff members of funny things that have happened, funny interactions with patrons, with materials, with all sorts of stuff. There's a few stories here from different parts of the library, from different libraries as well, and I hope you enjoy. So let's get started with the first one. This is one of mine, actually. This happened to me. I was shelving DVDs in about 2012 at a different library, and a patron asked me if we had the one about the North and the West. And I thought for a second. I was considering what that could be. And I said, well, is that Game of Thrones? And they said, yeah, that's it. And sure enough, we had a copy in. That was one of my proudest, I can't remember the title, but moments in my career so far. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, next story. A few years ago, an elderly gentleman stopped by the front desk and said, "My name is Lucy Barton." And I replied, "Hello, how can I help you?" And he said, "No, that's the title of the book I'm picking up for my wife's book club." And another one here. We got a few little quickies. A patron came up to the front desk and said that they wanted to check out a book. I asked them if they had a library card or an ID, and they replied, "I don't have my card and I don't have my ID, but I do have my husband." And so these are some of the fun things that people do, and these make our day. Let me be clear. This is not meant to be poking fun at anybody. This is just sharing the joy of interacting with the public. Not ironic joy. This is really, these are the stories that get us through the day sometimes. Here's another one. We had a gentleman came to the reference desk who loves genealogy and local history, and he wanted to donate a few high school pamphlets and a photograph from the 1930s, which unfortunately we couldn't take because we don't have a way to properly preserve and catalog them. But then he was telling us a story that he had borrowed the library's Kodak film scanner and scanned over 4,000 negatives from his personal collection. And that just blew our minds, that our collection is such a validating thing to know that the things that we get here are really put to good use by you all. And it's really good feeling. Okay, so here's one. On a Friday, a patron called to ask about a book that they accidentally put through the book drop on Tuesday. They were upset because it was their own book that they'd just bought and hadn't read yet. They assumed we would put it aside for her. So the staff member told them when books come in through the book drop that are not library books, we consider them donations. They sit on a miscellaneous cart for 24 hours, and if they're not claimed, they go out either onto our book sale shelves or down to the used bookstore. This made the patron upset because they wanted their book. And they talked about how much money they spent on it and how much they wanted to read it. So we told them we could check the book sale shelves in the bookstore itself. So what's the name of the book? I don't know. I can't remember. Who was the author? I don't know. I can't remember. Is it hardcover, paperback? What color was it? They said it was a hardcover in blue. More questions about the color blue, and it was determined to be a medium blue. What was it about? She wasn't sure. Maybe mindfulness or spirituality? So we got her contact info and went downstairs to the bookstore while another staff member looked on the bookshelves. And there, right in the middle of the cookbook sale, was a medium blue hardcover book about mindfulness. So we call our patron back, and this was the book. They were thrilled, and so we asked them to come in and pick it up that day. They couldn't, but they would come in on Saturday. They didn't come in till the following Tuesday. You know, life comes up, life gets in the way. But part of the working in the library is providing excellent customer service, and part of it's being a detective. And so this is the last story that we have for this episode, but we have a million stories, and we're always getting more because there's always more interactions that stick in our minds and people that are so memorable and so great. So hopefully in future episodes we'll revisit this well. So this is from the children's department. This staff member says, "In the children's department, I am known for having a very special talent, figuring out which book a loose page belongs to. Although I don't have a perfect track record, it happens often enough that it's become my thing. How do you do it? You can't possibly look inside every book, my coworker recently asked me, expressing wonder. After all, in the children's room alone, we have over 41,000 books. Well, I look at the illustrations and the size of the page. Even the font itself is a clue. One time, a patron asked for picture books with cursive or fancy fonts, and I was able to quickly think of 2 or 3 books that fit the need. If I don't recognize it at that point, I really examine the picture and carefully read any words on the page to try and figure out the title or the author. After that, I might do an online search using Google Images. My skill at memorizing the physical details of books also comes in handy when finding a book on the shelf. Sometimes I know it's the right book just by the size, shape, and colors of the spine alone. So, while I might not judge a book by its cover, I can certainly remember it. So if you want to, next time you're in the children's room, try and figure out which staff member can put a page to the book. Thanks for listening to our first episode of the revamped Beyond Books podcast. Next month, we are going to be talking about games and gaming at the library, so hope you join us again for that. Big thanks to Philip Zhang for our theme song, to Hedda for their interview on digital music resources, to our illustrious assistant director, Sonia Drodar, for organizing and facilitating this revamp, and to our fabulous editor, Jess Smith. And until next time, keep your eyes, ears, and mind open, because the library can take you beyond books.